Welcome back. It's now time to take a look at what stories are making the headlines in the French newspapers. And for that, we're joined by Florence Villemot. Florence, welcome back into studio. We're looking at François Hollande, starting with his New Year's address, which was pretty much torn apart by most of the papers.
That's right. We're going to start by looking at the satirical newspaper, Le Canard Enchaîné, which, as you can imagine, would poke fun at Hollande. Now, Hollande vowed during his presidential campaign to bring around change. They say the only change he's brought around so far is announcing a new year. Le changement d'année, c'est maintenant. Basically, that's it for them. Libération also takes a closer look at this first address he made. Now, it's a pre-recorded address, and according to Libération, he was quite flustered because he had to start over 4 times. First time because a door slammed. The second time, he tripped up on a couple of words, and a couple of other times he stopped because he thought his speech was too long. Now, Libération points out that this came at a tough time for Hollande because his beginning of his term has been criticized as being somewhat chaotic. Critics say that he lacks leadership, and he's suffered a lot of very big setbacks. For instance, last week, France's constitutional watchdog said that his 75% super tax on the super rich was unconstitutional, and this was one of his big projects for the year. Now, it says that, according to Libération, this speech, he did this to show that he has confidence in France, that he's in control. Les Echos, the business paper, also looks at his speech and says that it was an attempt to reconquer public opinion. And it points out that you see a photo of them there standing behind a pulpit. And this was new. And it was, according to Les Echos, an attempt to show that he's a captain in control of the ship, even in a storm.
And within that speech, he seemed quite positive about growth coming back into the French economy. But not all the papers were so positive, or everybody, certainly Le Figaro, leading the way there, showing its bit of pessimism.
That's right. According to Le Figaro, one person who's not as optimistic about growth is Angela Merkel, and here she is on the front page. And for 2013, in fact, Merkel is a lot less optimistic than François Hollande.
Not really surprising.
Not so surprising. Le Figaro takes a closer look at the two politicians, looks at their style, says they have 2 very different methods and 2 very different takes on things. François Hollande, as you were saying, very optimistic, saying the Eurozone has been saved. Merkel, on the other hand, says that the crisis is far from over. She called on Germans to have courage during these tough times. Le Figaro says that one of the big differences between Merkel and Hollande is the fact that Merkel is facing an election this year. So perhaps that's why she's opting for rather not blind optimism, but rather honesty.
Now, moving on to another story that's here in France. Le Parisien explores allegations of shady financing, and that was during Nicolas Sarkozy's presidential campaign.
Back in 2007, that's right. This is an exclusive for Le Parisien. They say that Libya helped fund Nicolas Sarkozy's campaign, and this is according to this man you see in a photo here, Ziad Takieddine. Now, he's known in France for being involved in another corruption case called the Karachi affair.
Which has obviously been well covered.
Well covered as well. Now, while being interrogated because of the Karachi affair, he made this allegation about Nicolas Sarkozy and said that he not only has seen proof, he knows where investigators can find evidence. So, so far, though, Nicolas Sarkozy's lawyer hasn't made any comments.
No surprise. Well, moving on, Le Figaro looks at how France's role in Africa is changing somewhat.
That's right. Now, France has often had a complicated relationship with Africa, especially its former colonies. Le Figaro looks at how this is changing in the Central African Republic. Though there are 600 French troops stationed there, Le Figaro says that they're there just to protect France's citizens, not to try to influence politics there. So we'll see what happens.
And just quickly, because we have to, it's my homeland, we're going to look at Le Tribune, focusing on Ireland, that's just taken the presidency.
That's right, and I'm sorry about this one for you, Karen. According to La Tribune, Ireland has become president of the EU, but they wonder, why should we care about this? It says that because of the crisis and the changing nature of European institutions, the role of president of the European Union, presidency rather, is kind of an empty job. It doesn't really have all that much influence or room for maneuver, so sorry about that.
Not at all. Well, I can say certainly being in Ireland, there's been a lot of hype around it. Thank you, Flo. That is your update on the French press. Thank you.